Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition. I don't know if this is going to be a recurring thing. If people watch, I guess we'll keep doing it. But I'm here with Jeff, and we're going to be
Yeah,
talking.
brother.
Yeah, we're going to be talking all about the Elimination Chamber, the latest WWE pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it. The latest scheme to get us to get on Peacock and subscribe.
Subscribe to Peacock.
That that's probably one of the only reasons I have Peacock, really, to watch the PLEs.
So I was subscribed to the WWE Network when it was around, and then they at the time, like towards the end of that run, WWE had some issues with the stories, and I was just like, I'm out. I don't need this, whatever.
Yeah.
And then when they switched over to Peacock, I was like, well, I guess The Office is no longer on Netflix, and you get wrestling. So
yeah, I need to watch. I need somewhere to watch my my Law and Order reruns.
right. Yeah. So it's one of the ones that I'm like, this one long, and it's still cheap enough to keep. So it hasn't.
Yeah, I will say the ads get bothersome for like when I'm not watching wrestling stuff because it's like when it's live, like they don't put in as many ads as other things. But man, like watching TV shows with ads, that gets a little tough, but still a good time.
Oh, and I do love Peacock for the Hallmark Channel stuff too, like around Christmas time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
WWE and the Hallmark Channel. That's all they need.
The big two. All right. So we're gonna talk about each of the matches at Elimination Chamber. But first of all, I just want to ask. So Jeff, overall, how did you like the show?
I thought it was overall it was a really good show. It was weird one because we're in America and it was in Australia, so it happened in the middle of the night, early in the morning for us here. So I missed the whole thing because I slipped through most of it, and then I went back and rewatched it. It was like a 4-hour stream, but it still felt like because I could fast forward through all the fluff. I guess it felt like a short show, like a small show.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the stream, like watching it live, I would imagine would have been a bit more brutal, honestly. But the matches themselves, I thought were all really good. No big surprises. That's what I kept hearing about, like online and then for myself, obviously. But I don't necessarily need surprises. I just need them to be good matches.
I feel like because the stories are kind of so cemented for WrestleMania, like this was more of a let's give them a good show, even if they already know. For the most part, I think we knew what was going to happen with all the matches. But we'll get into all that. So I woke up at around 6 yesterday to watch the show, 6 in the morning. So we're in Texas for anybody that's watching this new to the channel. So I did the math wrong. I was like, oh, so it's at 5 in the East Coast, so that's like 6 over here. So I should be good. I wasn't planning on getting up like early to watch it live. And then they do the pre-show, and I'm like, I never know how long the pre-show is going to be because they count that in as the start time, whatever. So, but yeah, I got up at 6. I started getting caught up by the time luckily our live stream for yesterday with our interview with Josh Trujillo we moved it back an hour because he's on the West Coast. So that kind of helped me make sure I had enough time to watch the whole thing. So, but yeah, you're right. I fast forwarded through all the recaps of the storylines because I watch this pretty much every week. Like I don't need to, and the storylines are not that convoluted anyway. So,
what's Cody's uncle doing now? I guess it is kind of sort of how the bloodline
thing is going. Now, if I had to learn the bloodline family, then I'll probably need to recap because that's a lot. So,
we'll talk a lot of names.
We'll talk about the implications of that probably towards the end, but. Let's get started. We're gonna talk about. So I want to talk about the kickoff. Did you watch that match, the kickoff show, the
women's tag match?
Yeah.
So here's my big confession because I do watch a lot of WWE, but I'm not super familiar with the NXT people that are just now coming up.
Okay.
NXT was one of those things I never really got behind. I was like, oh, this is their minor leagues for the majors, and so I would watch a little bit, but it always bugged me especially back when Vince was in charge, how they would take somebody like Pete Dunne in NXT, and then when he moves up to SmackDown or whatever, he becomes Butch all of a sudden,
Oh yeah.
They completely changed the character. And so in my head, I was just like, well, why am I watching them in NXT if they're just going to completely change up the character by the time they hit the pros or whatever?
Right. Like if you don't care,
main roster.
Yeah, like if you don't care about these
yeah.
people, why do I care about these people?
But it seems like since they lost the Wednesday War, they really kind of restructured NXT to be. It's still a training ground, but you see a lot more movement between the main roster and NXT.
Yeah. They're taking advantage of like, let's use the big names from our main shows. Let's put them down there every once in a while. Or like when we need to refresh a character, like Baron Corbin, like let's put him on NXT, let him kind of do his thing, find something that works, and then probably eventually I'm sure he'll come back up or like but yeah, there's like everyone here, like Candice and Indi, I was following them. So we're gonna be talking about, I guess, the Kabuki Warriors defending their tag teams against Candice, LeRae, and Indi Hartwell. Which, listen, I was kind of upset that they didn't have anything for Indi to do up until like the last minute, because I'm like, come on, she's one of your Australian superstars. Like, you
like,
got
save it for Rhea though. Save it for Rhea.
Yeah, right. Like they even, because they announced the Grayson Waller thing, like he was gonna do a segment. So, but yeah, I was like, find something for. I thought she was gonna win the last spot in the Elimination Chamber. I didn't think Raquel was gonna win. So I'll say that, which was a surprise. But yeah, it was a fun match. Like I said, I like how grimy of heels Asuka and Kyrie. Like Kyrie's new character is so good. So
I'm curious as to where they go post WrestleMania.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of fun stories happening right now. So I expect them. I feel like they're going to keep their tag titles for a while, because I
thought they were going to lose here and somehow get angry, blame Bailey, and like just kind of bring that animosity even further into that. And I was like, oh, cool. Indi gets a win in Australia. Even if they take the titles off next week or the week after, like they have plenty of time on the way to WrestleMania to put them back on Kyrie and Asuka. But they didn't. So,
I get the feeling that current day, well, very much so, that they're not big into title swapping for story, whatever. Like all the titles have been with the people that they're with for a while now, I feel like.
Yeah, Judgment Day's had theirs for a while, but I also feel like they need to be better at booking their women's tag division.
Oh yeah, I have issues with the entire thing. Sorry, I've got junk falling all around me. I'm not like growing, because I grew up in I was watching wrestling in the early 2000s and stuff, which was like a dominant time for tag teams.
Yeah,
so you had like the Hardys and like the Dudley Boys and
Edge and
Christian, and there was just like all these tag teams that were known as being tag teams, and I feel like there's just not that many tag teams that are like tag teams. It's just two guys thrown together.
Out of all the women's division, like Asuka and Kyrie are the only ones that kind of have a theme going. Like they have, they've teamed up before too. So like, but I can't, like, once the Iconics left, I was like, where are your tag teams with the women's division?
I miss the Iconics. They were so good.
Me too. I know there was a lot of like speculation online of like, hey, they're gonna pop there, pop in or for some reason. That was nice last time they were in Australia.
Great, I forgot that they were also from Australia.
Yeah, last time they won the titles in Australia when they had the PLE. It was. So, but yeah, the match was pretty good. I think Indi and Candice got a lot of pretty good offense, but like I almost wanted them to lose. If they're gonna lose, like do something a little bit dirty. But now they kind of lost pretty clean. Like it was just more of a kind of a given. So unfortunate for them, but at least she got a nice reaction when she came out. Indi, like the crowd was hot from the beginning, so that was nice.
That was a very spicy crowd.
Yeah. So cool. All right, then we kick off the actual show. Yeah.
I feel like it's to get him ready for Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is also going to be
I think the last year overall has shown us that international crowds, they love this stuff, right? Because they don't have it every week. Like the Puerto Rico show was really cool. And I know that's international because, that's still part of the US, but still like a crowd that doesn't get so I'm pretty excited for the Germany event that they're having, I think, after WrestleMania. I think that's going to be cool. So especially with Gunther kind of kicking ass all over the place.
I'm sure they're going to, I definitely think they're going to be traveling more. I mean, because a good portion, there were a few commercials for Australia within that. So I'm sure there's like travel boards and stuff like that are like, hey, WWE, come over here. Then during your 4-hour pay-per-view, there can be like a 5-minute spot for come and visit our country.
Yeah. I saw a lot of signs of like bring WrestleMania to Sydney, or like this should have been at Sydney. Like, I don't know if there's like a East Coast, West Coast like war over in Australia. Like, I don't know enough about their political landscape of like, because Australia is like really the two coasts are where like a lot of the bigger cities are in the middle.
Yeah.
So.
And this might be good for American audiences too, because I don't know much about world geography, so maybe the WWE can start like adding those little 15-minute lessons to the end of every episode. Like, this is Australia.
Yeah, when a random TikToker comes up to you on the street and asks you to point out Australia on the map, now you can because you watched the WWE. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to leave the American education system up to the WWE. I feel like that's probably not the way to go.
That's private enterprise, baby.
That's right. All right. Let's get into the second match, the first match, I guess, of the main show. And this was the women's elimination chamber match. We have Becky Lynch, of course, Naomi, who's her first big PLE after she came back from the Royal Rumble, and this is like her first big match. Raquel Rodriguez that barely squeezed into here. We have Bianca Belair, Tiffany Stratton, who's kind of the newest member of the roster. So a lot of people who may not, I was expecting people not to be as familiar with her, but man, she had the crowd going.
Yeah, she had the crowd.
And of course, Liv Morgan, who's also kind of trying to finish her story in her own way. So,
like I said before, I'm not super familiar with Tiffany Stratton, but she blew my mind away. Like, her swanton off the top of the thing was so cool looking. This is also where I noticed, because in the Elimination Chamber, unlike a steel cage match or something where all the cameras are on the outside of the ring, like there are cameras on the inside of the Elimination Chamber. So there's a lot more playfulness with the camera angles. Like, it's a lot more story motivated. And the first time I noticed it was what's her name? I can't remember.
Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffany Stratton was punching Rodriguez, and then the camera kind of panned up, and Liv Morgan was on top of the elimination chamber.
Top of the chamber.
To do a whatever and jump on what's her face. Gosh, I'm so bad at names right now. I had them written all down. I was trying to scan for them.
I do. That was a good spot. I do think that one of the things that WWE does really well is that kind of stuff when it comes to production, especially because they had cameras and microphones in the chamber, in the pods.
Yeah.
So you could kind of hear, like, they would keep cutting to like Bianca Belair and like, just getting amped up. That'll come a lot more into play, I think, in the men's match. We'll talk about that, but yeah, that's cool.
I think it would be cool if they added an element where the commentators could talk and the wrestlers could hear while they're in the pod, so they could have conversations with the wrestlers.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be a cool element.
They use that a lot during the Thunderdome era, where like Bailey would just kind of shout it because they could hear the commentators because there was no crowd.
Yeah.
When they were, I guess before the Thunderdome, when they were doing it in the empty arena thing that they had, like that's how Bailey started just yelling at Michael Cole, and that was a really nice dynamic.
That's a great dynamic.
A lot of cool spots. I like the disarmer through the cage. I thought that was cool when Becky was doing that. I think that was Tiffany. And then, like you mentioned, the spot with Liv jumping off of the top onto Raquel. That was cool. It was pretty interesting. Like the eliminations, I didn't expect them to go the way they did. But yeah, is there any were you? I mean, I feel like we all kind of knew Becky was gonna win, but I didn't know who was gonna be at the end.
I did like the final three. I like that they are giving Liv kind of a push again.
Yeah.
And you expect Bianca Belair to be, she's one of the greatest wrestlers like on the roster right now. So I was happy with the final three. I did expect Becky to win.
Yeah.
I think Bianca, Liv, Tiff Stratton all make them all look great. Like they all look like great coming out of it.
It was a great way to start. I think Liv and Tiffany Stratton should have a program after this. I think you have a story built right in. Where Liv is kind of like the veteran trying to get back her top spot. Tiff, the newcomer trying to get the highlight, make it Tiffy time.
Yeah.
Especially because Liv was mocking her with that too throughout the so I feel like they're already kind of working on that. And then of course Liv eliminated Tiffany, right? So I feel like Bianca's pretty much set up to go against Jade Cargill, so I feel like they didn't really do much for her for WrestleMania. Like that's got to be the big match that they have. Do
you think it's gonna be Jade and Bianca Belair? I feel like they might wait on that.
Okay.
I'm wondering because they also teased Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. I feel like at because since
WrestleMania.
Jade.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the thing is I'm just trying to figure out what's Bianca gonna do for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I have written down like a whole bunch of names where I'm like, we don't know what any of these people are going to do. I mean, we got some clarification. I feel like AJ Styles, LA Knight's probably definitely happening, especially now. That was kind of rumored. It kind of feels like we're going to get Randy Orton, Logan Paul, maybe.
I was thinking Kevin Owens. Maybe it might be a three-way for the U.S. title, maybe. I guess we'll talk about that when we get to there.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I don't know what Bianca Belair is doing, but can't spell WrestleMania without EST, so she's got to be somewhere in it.
You definitely can. All right. Any last thoughts on the women's chamber while I pull up the next picture?
I was surprised because I started looking at online stuff like when WWE released the videos like on Instagram and stuff, and I would flip through their comments, and a lot of people were like disappointed that Becky won because they were just like, "Oh, that's so obvious" or whatever. I'm excited for a Becky Rhea Ripley WrestleMania match. Like that seems like a no-brainer of a match that you would want to watch.
So, and I think that they've done the story so well where I feel like. And where there's a good transition point, like I feel like the Judgment Day is gonna kind of collapse at WrestleMania, and that could be one of the things, right? Rhea loses her title.
Well, so I think we're gonna see Becky do a heel switch at WrestleMania. I think the story is gonna be that you're right. I think Judgment Day is gonna split, or at least Rhea is gonna split from the Judgment Day, and we're gonna see her face turn. And Becky turned heel around WrestleMania.
Does Rhea take Dom with her?
No, I think they split.
You think she only takes Tom and she only takes Tom and Judgment Day keeps Nick?
Well, so I think that yeah, she gets him on weekends. She gets him I think that they just split her from the Judgment. I think the Judgment Day still is around as heels, but I think I think she leaves because I don't know what
I feel like Damian's the one that's going to get kind of ousted.
Yeah, it could be him too. I don't know. I don't know. We can talk about that when we get to the.
Well, let's get into it. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the tag team titles. Judgment Day. We have Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus the New Catch Republic. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates. I don't know. I think Michael Cole tried to explain to me like 10 times what that name of the New Catch Republic meant. I still have no idea. So if you're watching this, explain it to me in the comments because I'm kind of a dum-dum and I really don't understand what the hell that means.
It's very European of some sort. Yeah,
for sure. But First of all, let's talk about Dominic, the heat magnet. No matter where he goes in the world.
Dude, everybody at that company must be so happy with his, like, all he has to do is touch the mic and he's just so hot right now with the crowd. WWE has got to get their like mute button or their little like, oh, somebody's doing the audience that we don't want the people to see. Like, they've got to get that under control because it like blacks out for like 3 seconds or whatever. It's like way too long.
Yeah, there was a big like it. So I didn't know what happened. I thought it was my Peacock stream or something, or I thought it was some issue with Peacock. Then I finally went online and people were talking about like the whole first row was like flipping off Dominic and like yelling obscenities. So they just also, first of all, Peacock, I'm paying for this event. Like, don't censor it, like, unless it's like,
that's the other thing too. I was like, this is pay-per-view, like, not whatever they call it now. Like, you can do whatever, like, so like, it must be TK, whatever the parent company is, like, we want to be family friendly to a certain point. Like,
I guess
it's got to be them.
Do you think if this had been an event that was airing in the US at night, they would have censored that? Because
I think you could get away with it even more if it's in the middle of the of the night now.
I guess maybe because it was like the morning, like it was morning in the US, but kids aren't awake that early. I don't know what time kids wake up.
I don't know.
Yeah. So,
but if they're gonna do it, I just wish it wouldn't go like, I feel like the technology is there to just be like, it's a 1 second thing, like not a.
Right. You like, don't you have like delays in this, or like, I don't know, block it out some other way?
Yeah.
This was a pretty good match. Like, I think all four of these guys have such good moveset that really complement. Like, I love that Damian kind of stands out as just this gigantic force of nature that can just toss these guys around. But Pete Dunne's the finger thing, it always kind of like, is this like, I don't know if I like it or not. It's always, I
hate
like,
the finger thing.
Oh,
I hate the finger thing because it breaks the like the kayfabe for me, because I'm like, nobody's in a cast the next week. Like, nobody's like there's still, like, if you break your fingers, you're pretty much done with the match, I think.
Especially when you sell it real good. Like, Finn Balor really sold it like his finger had been popped out of the socket or whatever, like at the end of the match. And I don't think they do. I'm sure he's kind of learned how to really, like they work on that stuff. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know if is this too much? Is this where kind of I draw the line? I do love to see like when the wrestlers react to it. But it's still,
it breaks it just to it. I was gonna say, it's so fun because everybody, like, even Michael Cole's like, you can hear the snap of the whatever.
Yeah,
I'm just like, then show me the dangling fingers. This is kind of what my next thought is, but
like,
but obviously,
and New Catch got a lot of good offense, especially like some of their combo moves are pretty cool, like the what's it called, the Birmingham Hammer, which is great wordplay. And their double DDT that they did as well. So they're really good stuff.
There's Tyler Bates wrestling gear just makes me, I'm just like, you're a 5-year-old in underwear. Kind of makes me uncomfortable. I don't know, that's my cross to bear, I guess.
Yeah.
But his that spinning thing that he does when I think he had Damian Priest on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And he just spun for like 2 minutes straight or something.
Damian's not a small
insane.
Dude. Yeah, Damian's not a small dude. So like, and I love, you get a lot of the heel tactics from these guys. Dom kind of saving the match once before he got, which it's such a, it should be, I should not enjoy when wrestlers get kicked out as much, but man, they do so good. Like the ref, especially, like if you got a good ref that's really selling it, like kind of losing their mind at them, like, and I don't remember the name of the ref, but she was really good at this. Like, she really sold it. Like, Dom, you gotta get out of here.
I would, going forward, it's like, so if they do break the Judgment Day up, I would love to see Dom and like Logan Paul kind of be buddies, because I would love to see the heat that those two could get together.
Yeah, I think, even Logan Paul gets a few words in before, like, but Dominic, I wish and I hope that WWE is recording like Ray's reactions to a lot of these things, so we can see them later on, like just like maybe the first time that Dom got a lot of heat or something, like all those things. Like Ray's got to be really proud of the stuff that his kid's doing, right? Like he's kind of truly going out on his own. Now, granted that he had a big platform and a big catapult from his dad, like what a better way to become a heel than just like kicking your dad's ass, who everyone loves.
Yeah. And it really said like he's so separate from his dad, but still so tethered to his dad. But like he's really his own guy now, honestly. Whereas before, when he first started wrestling, he was always just this little big-eyed,
and it worked.
Studios big-eyed kid.
Yeah, and it worked, right? Like I love that moment when they both won the title. So, but yeah, that like just stuff like that. They really kind of found when it's organic like that, it's so much better. I think that's something that hopefully WWE is starting to understand more. Like you got to let these things happen on their own, or you got to lean into it when things are hot like that. So, anything else? So the Judgment Day retains, of course, with the really cool ending with a double choke slam. Oh, it's what's called South of Heaven choke slam, and then coup de grace, which also every time I'm nervous, every time he's gonna do it, I'm nervous because I'm like, like it feels like that's one of those moves where you can really hurt someone. But I mean, Finn Balor is so good at it. So, but
yeah. I just whenever people are like, "Oh, wrestling's fake" or whatever, I'm like, "How do you fake that? Like, just show me. How do you fake that?
Yeah,
let me jump on your stomach."
There's such a big difference between like predetermined and planned out and fake. So yeah. Obviously, I wouldn't bet on wrestling because maybe I feel like the odds would be against me. But yeah,
that I don't understand. When I started seeing bet on wrestling, I'm like, what? Wow, like it's like betting on Friends or Parks and Recreation or something.
Friends. All right, let's move on. We have I think a lot of people's favorite segment, maybe the Grayson Waller Effect special showing with special guests Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. But before that, Austin Theory was there. What's his thing? The 150 million view man or whatever segment he got with The Rock. So yeah, he introduces Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, like, I mean, talk about a pop. He was the most welcome person in Australia, probably after Rhea last night. And then they got to do a shoey, which I still don't understand why people love drinking out of a shoe. With, I believe, I don't know who that person was. I mean, Australian athlete, I believe, but
I don't know who it was. Yeah, was a UFC guy, I think, or something.
Yeah, I guess now that with TKO, like they're bringing in more like the UFC guys. We saw a segment on Monday. So if you don't follow UFC, like you probably like, I don't know. Michael Cole tries to tell you to the best of his abilities, but it doesn't always work.
Michael Cole had a lot of explaining to do last night.
Oh yeah.
It is a far more educational show. Did you see the Austin Theory, like when he was at the radio station or the TV program or whatever? What do you think? Now I kind of wonder, because he's such a because he came out as the big heel there too. I was like, I wonder if that was a bit or if that was real or whatever. Because sometimes they're real and sometimes it's hard. It's always hard to tell. Like,
that's the fun part. But you know what it was too that I was thinking as I was watching that. I think last week or the week before was when he had that when they kind of botched the move and it was like it looked really dangerous and like fortunately he didn't get hurt and like neither of the guys got hurt. But I'm thinking if that just happened to you and then you get some dumbass like asking you about like how your business is fake when you just almost dodged like maybe being, scarred for the rest of your life or paralyzed or like injured. Like I'm sure that's still kind of in his head. Because I saw a podcast with him talking about what happened with the move or some clips. So yeah, that was probably still kind of rattling around in his head, and then somebody comes up and tells him like, "Hey, your business is fake" or whatever. And he was about to go. What is it? Was it Jerry the King? That no,
he slapped.
It was Jerry, right? That he. Yeah. And I think Undertaker also like at some point maybe slapped someone or was about to attack someone on TV that was like a radio Oh, there's been a few incidents of this question.
Yeah, there's been like sleeper holds put on reporters and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, there's a whole bunch.
So, we were talking earlier before we started recording that the the reason this segment was so long was because of the entrances, right? You have Seth, who has one of the longest entrances, which I love that people just kind of really lean into it.
Yeah.
With his, kind of them singing his song. And then you have Cody, who also has like one of the longest entrances because people also just love it. And I love that he stops
Sing
to like
along.
sign things and walk around. He like he'll stop and sign the little things, which good for that. The whatever those fans are that get their stuff, that's pretty nice. So yeah, and then you get into it in the whole segment, but it was a lot of fun. Like, I think Seth and he gave us his announcement, like, I'm almost medically clear. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cody also giving us a little bit of like, A-Rock, how about we do a one-on-one type of deal, which would that happen? Like, they wouldn't just put that on some SmackDown or something, would they?
There's nothing between now and WrestleMania, is there?
Mm-mm. No, this is the big thing. So,
they seem to be putting bigger and bigger matches on the free shows, so they might. I mean, if they do, it would probably be a thing where it only lasts like 5 minutes and then shenanigans happen.
I feel like WWE wouldn't want The Rock to get hurt before because it looks like they're going to do a tag match between Cody and Seth and then The Rock and Roman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which well, I mean, that's probably, we'll definitely talk about that. Maybe before WrestleMania, we'll do a little stream or something where we talk about what we think is going to happen. But that's pretty interesting. I do love that after their big promos, Grayson Waller was like, "Cool story, bro." Like he's such a good heel. Like nothing impresses him, right? He's kind of the star of the show. And then Austin Theory goes into his whole The Rock bit, which is, it's kind of interesting now that The Rock is kind of back, that he gave him that kind of the heel rub, right, of it all, and they're definitely trying to squeeze that for all it's worth. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting segment. It probably went on a little bit too long, but I mean, the crowd was eating it up, so like, I'm not gonna blame him for that.
I like the weird relationship between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, where they're buddies, but then also Grayson Waller was like once Cody and Seth started beating up on us, he was just like, "Y'all go for it." Like I don't need any of this. Like
one thing I'll say to Austin Theory's credit, when he was about to do the "if you smell" thing, and then Seth grabbed them to throw him into the thing, he didn't drop the mic, so you could hear him like go on the mic. Like it's those little subtle things that make it from like a good segment to like a great and like really entertaining, right? So kudos to him.
Yeah.
And he sells the moves really well. He took a stomp. He took a Cody doing his cutter in a suit. I'm always like, how do the shoes not slip? Like I can never wear dress. I can only barely wear dress shoes and walk around normally. How are these guys?
Sprays them like with glue or something? Or
yeah, so like the tar that they put on the bats in baseball or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. Like he's doing a cutter off of the ropes with his dress shoes. And yeah, you're right. Grayson Waller was just like, "Oh, they not my circus, not my monkey." So
I just sit back and just like go for it.
Yeah, so that was really, it was overall really interesting segment. And one thing we also said over there, like if you get Cody and Seth and Shinsuke in a three-way match, like those entrances are gonna go on for like 30 minutes. So
yeah, 100%. But that would be a killer match. Killer intros and killer match.
Oh, for sure. I think I really like what they are doing with Shinsuke. I think they found this like almost anime villain type of persona that it really works. Like, yeah, just let him do his promos in Japanese and close caption them. Like
I was just like, just let them speak their native language. Yeah, and then either close caption it or just have, somebody as an interpreter or whatever. Like I hate it when they kind of force them to like speak the best broken English they can.
Yeah. I mean, if if you're a heel, like it's probably. Remember when they added the lyrics to Shinsuke's song so people couldn't sing along? Like you already know the thing. So, all right,
Yeah.
let's move on. I think this was probably tied. I know there weren't a lot of matches, but this is definitely tied for best. I think my favorite tonight. This is the men's elimination chamber. Kevin Owens, which I'll get into. The almighty Bobby Lashley, who has just his entrance is also really good. Like I really grown to just love the dun 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 dun. Like his really good. Randy Orton. We also have Logan Paul, LA Knight, who I hope he's not losing a lot of the steam. Like it feels like he's still really over. I just don't know where he's going, like his storyline. We'll talk about that. And then of course Drew McIntyre. Let's get into it. What did you think of this match?
Oh, I loved it. It was at one moment I was just like, oh, these are just like 6 of the beefiest dudes they could find, and then they're all just like slapping each other as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. I
I
think
thought it was great.
Kevin Owens, just from the beginning, like I don't know how he continues to just be one of the best things. That just even when he's not doing wrestling stuff, like I love seeing off camera, like when you catch him on off to the side, like he's always doing something. He had a really good entrance.
He's such a gem. Like when LA Knight was smashing Drew's head against the chamber, and then Kevin was on the other side, still inside the chamber, like hitting back.
Yeah, like he's slamming him against, and they're both kind of like,
that moment that we all, because Logan Paul was like the last one to come out, and then he was like chomping at the bits to come out, and it was another camera bit because then the camera turns and you see Kevin Owens standing right there at the door waiting for him.
Yeah, and then he opens the door, and instead of bringing him out of the pod, he goes in there with him. So I don't know if you saw the clips. I saw it on TikTok that Logan Paul had markers with him, so he was drawing on the door of on the outside thing of the chamber, and he drew Kevin Owens, and he said he sucks and stuff like that. He drew himself devil horns to like put through. Like, I don't like Logan Paul as the person, but I think as a wrestler, he's really embraced it. He understands it, and of course he's very athletic, so like that definitely helps him. But yeah,
my dream, to not get too far off topic, but my hope is somewhere within the next 10 years we get Logan Paul MJF match somehow, some way. I think those two would work well together.
Yeah, for sure. Which I do miss MJF. I do miss that. That's one thing I do. But bringing it back to WWE stuff, like I think Kevin Owens to me was the MVP of the show. Like he had a lot of the biggest, better spots. He gave LNI a choke slam, and I think I read that this was because he promised the Make-A-Wish kid that he would do a choke slam at Elimination Chamber. So like on top of him just doing a choke slam, then you find out why he did it, and it's like, oh come on.
You're talking about LA Knight. I feel like they should have LA Knight. Here's what they should do: is that they should, now that they have The Rock back, is it should be LA Knight versus The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh yeah. Gimmick. A loser gives up the gimmick match.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a lot to lose there. Also, can we talk about Bobby Lashley putting people through the pods?
This was another, because he looked hurt after that. A lot of these guys were like Randy Orton. I'm sure he really did tweak his back, but because he has back issues.
So it's hard to
tell. I think he sold it
so well. Yeah.
But he did that. He probably really did tweak his back a little bit.
He did the vintage DDT to the outside of the ring. And I feel like that's kind of the part where he stayed out of the match a little bit. And then everybody else kind of ran shop for a little bit. But yeah, Bobby Lashley put Kevin Owens and Logan Paul through their respective pods. I'm always like, oh man, I hope that plexiglass doesn't like break or whatever, because like
sharp.
Yeah, like it would be something pretty dangerous. But man, they're so good.
Also, they talked about. I feel like they need to work on the design maybe, because if they are going to like, because they talked about how it was like 100 degrees in Australia that day, and then they were like, well, they're not. The pods themselves aren't really breathable, and I was like, well, you guys got to fix that. Like, cut some holes in there so they can, like. Not,
they didn't have enough time because I think I read a story where Pirates they closed down the route that they were gonna take the chamber, and they had to bring it in via the other side of the world, like kind of take a detour to the other side of the world to Sydney, and then from Sydney took a train. Like that's what does Michael Cole say? 26,000 tons of metal or whatever, and 2 miles of chain link fence or whatever. So yeah, it's a lot. And then we start having eliminations. I think Bobby Lashley was the first one out. Is that right? I think that's right.
I don't remember the order.
I think it was Bobby.
Except for the last few.
Yeah, Bobby took him out, and then when Bobby was being taken out, AJ Styles.
Oh, because he was hurt. Because then AJ Styles came in
and beat the shit out of LA Knight.
When he was about to give him what is the Styles clash, where he falls forward, but the chair was up. I don't know if you saw the chair was broken. I was like, they're gonna kill LA Knight.
I looked to him like, if he had any cuts. So the ref definitely tried to move the chair out of the way because he saw that it was like bent. I guess he beat him so hard with it that the back of it like kind of popped off out. And that was a little. It was sticking out. I'm glad everybody was all right after that. And then we have KO got taken out, unfortunately. And then we have, which the final three being Randy, Logan Paul, and Drew McIntyre. I did not expect that.
Can we go back to Bobby Lashley being eliminated? Those two kicks that he took from Drew McIntyre right before he got eliminated. Oh my God, those kicks look brutal.
They like all of these guys are so good at selling, which I think it's an art that is usually takes you a little bit longer to finesse. Like I think you can practice a lot on your own moves and how you deliver those, but taking people's moves, like that's definitely that's the part that I think also kind of separates like the good wrestlers from like the great wrestlers. Right? Like I love Dolph Ziggler used to sell so well, like taking moves.
He did.
I'm glad he's doing good stuff over. I believe he just won a title in Japan, if I remember correctly. Him and Matt Riddle, I think they both won titles. But yeah, Kevin Owens got taken out, and then Logan Paul was getting ready to use his brass knuckles, which I feel like they have to be some kind of prop brass knuckles, but man, they look real. And as he's getting ready to go, this is kind of where I feel like WWE sometimes really does stuff very well. They have the angle right, just like the camera's right on Logan Paul. You can't really see anything else. And then boom, like literally out of the camera frame comes in Randy Orton with an RKO.
It's so good because the camera beforehand, like it moves, so you can see when Logan Paul first starts reaching into his pants to get the brass knuckles, you can see Randy Orton on the ground, like he's out of the you see his and then the camera moves to take him out of frame. But it's just good enough to be like you don't expect it coming because the last thing you see is Randy Orton on the ground. And then for a split second, because when I went to because I watched it a couple of times. You can hear the crowd start to get up right before Randy Orton pops into the frame. But it's so cool. It was just such a good shot. It
was really good. Like I will say, there was like a big, not dead spot, but like maybe they didn't check the lighting in the ring with all the shadows from everything.
Shadows. Oh my
God. There was one right in the middle of the ring where like a lot of the action's kind of taking place. I guess maybe they looked at it during the day, so they didn't know what it was going to look like with all the lights, they're artificial lights. And there was a big shadow spot right in the middle of everything. So like, if you were there,
I also wonder if they were like, when they put it together, you're right. It was probably day to night thing. But I also wonder if they didn't have just a bunch of 5'8" guys around the ring. Because all those guys, the taller they got, the more in shadow they were.
Yeah, maybe. So they should have body doubles that just for lighting.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
was distracting, and then sometimes it was weirdly cool because it would put somebody in shadow and somebody in light.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, we are down to the last two, and at this point, I really was like, man, I felt like Drew was like the one I had picked from the beginning, but I didn't know how they were gonna do it, and I think they did it in a bag of one of their tricks that they've pulled out of the bag before, which is Logan Paul interferes, because they did that at the last chamber, I think too. I think he took out AJ if I remember correctly. So yeah, he came in brass knuckles to Randy's face. And McIntyre just took it, and dude, like by the end of the match, both of them are drenched. I didn't realize the temperature was so high. Like now it makes sense why they were so sweaty. But
yeah, that's gotta be rough.
So good,
and it's a great. It protects Randy, kind of thing. Yeah, those kind of matches, and it makes sense in the moment,
Yeah. Before they went on to the main event, Triple H did come out just to announce the attendance. They had over 52,000 people there, so that was pretty cool. But then we move on now to the main event, which I was pretty excited for, mainly because like for Rhea, right? Like I really like her. I like the character, and it's always fun to see like the wrestlers go back home, and kind of in front of their, perform in front of their families and stuff. I think Michael Cole kept making a point that like Rhea had 13 family members. It was oddly specific how many family members and how he kind of kept bringing that up. But yeah, Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax. I don't think anybody was surprised by the outcome. I tell you this, if this was the old regime, I would be a lot more worried about like who won this, because man, did they hate having the hometown kid win in their hometown.
yeah. They loved upsetting the fans. Nia Jax looked awesome in this.
Yeah.
She's somebody that always kind of worries me, like she's going to hurt somebody because that's what she's kind of known for.
Yeah.
But she looks in control. Like she doesn't look as nearly as reckless as she kind of has been in the past. She looks for a person of her size and stature, like her slow, methodical, punishing style that they've given her works super well. Like I was, yeah, you're right. I never really thought that Rhea was going to lose, but I was like, but they punished her, in this match.
I'm glad the match was as long as it was. I felt like they were just going to go the route where like this is going to end very quickly, especially because we had already gone like about 4 hours or so on the thing. But yeah, no, they took their time. Rhea took a lot of punishment from Nia. But in the end, like I love how they kind of overcame everything. I will say Rhea's reaction, like the pop that she got when she came out, incredible. Like I can't believe the crowd was this hot still after like 4 hours of it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they were excited.
Yeah, because I would imagine, because could you imagine being because if it's hot for the wrestlers, it's obviously hot for the fans too.
Yeah.
Just being there for 4 hours and 100-degree plus heat. And I'm sure you've had a few beers or whatever.
It's Australia. They've had way more than a few.
Yeah. That where Nia tried to put Rhea through the announcer's table, but the table did not give away the first time when she throws it.
Yeah.
And Rhea looks like she landed right on top of one of the little computers or whatever, like the iPads that had not been pushed off the table. I was like, oh, Rhea is taking a beating in this thing. That looked painful. And then when Nia jumped on top of her and the table collapsed, that also looked painful. But that first, when the table did not give away. Oof.
Yeah, that probably sucks even more when it doesn't give way than when you actually kind of go through it. So, it was good. And then, Rhea kind of had her comeback. She did some pretty amazing moves, especially that, what was it off the top turnbuckle, like the suplex that she did to kind of turn things around.
Yeah.
And then her riptide.
She's super mobile too. Like, you saw Rhea do some like stuff that you just don't see very often from her at all.
No, she had to be very nimble. Like her approach, she had to change up her, because she's usually the dominant force in the ring, right? Like she's more of the punishment. But in this one, she kind of had to change tactics, which is a good way to tell the story. Like, and also a good way to showcase Rhea's like abilities. So she got a nice moment. She got a good win, and then we cut to a little. Let's see.
One of her 13 family members.
Yeah, a little moment with
Thank you so much, Western Australia. Thank you wherever you watch this.
And then the crowd was in it, like until the end. I can't imagine how long she was out there still after when everything went off of air. So yeah, very cool. Overall, very enjoyable pay-per-view. I thought, and it set up some really fun stuff for WrestleMania, right? At least there was a clip of Becky kind of watching the end of it, like from the production or whatever. So that match is for sure sealed and locked and loaded. We also have Drew McIntyre will be going up against Seth. So are Seth and Cody both going to have 2 matches? That's kind of what it's looking like, right? And we'll do a bit of speculation now, but
that's what I'm guessing. So I guess so this is what I'm wondering, because you still have Damian Priest, who has the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So there's the Seth, Cody, Rock, Roman rumored tag team night 1, which would then go into night 2, which would be the Cody, Roman, theoretically Seth, Drew McIntyre match, unless something happens in night 1 in which maybe Seth gets the beat down, and then Damian comes out with the briefcase and wins the match, and then I guess it's Damian. Like, there's so many options available to them,
right?
That are in play right now. I don't know where they go, honestly. There's a part of me that's like, I love The Rock, but I kind of wish he weren't in the mix. Like he really does muddy up the waters, kind of. From what
it's like they have so many choices. They have too many good options that it's like. I guess one thing I'll say is like the WrestleMania format switching to 2 nights was probably the best thing that happened, because it's not like a 8-hour thing. Instead, you get to have 2 kind of main events each night. You also have the opening matches of each segment also feel pretty big. So like you have 4 slots where you can really put in your big matches instead of just the 2 from everything being on one night. So yeah.
You got Bayley, Io Sky.
Yeah. I feel like that one. I mean, the tag team champions have to be defended, but I think we'll do a later stream probably. Just kind of maybe in a couple of weeks. There's still like 42 days according to Michael Cole until WrestleMania. So maybe sometime in between now and WrestleMania, we'll do a little stream and talk about all that. I have one last thing that I kind of want to bring up, and this is unrelated to the event as a whole. One of the things that kind of bothers me in regards to kayfabe is whenever they try to tell me that the SmackDown that's pre-recorded, it's not pre-recorded, and they want to make it feel live. Like, because not so much the SmackDown part of it, but like a couple of times Michael Cole or Corey, they mentioned like last night's SmackDown. Like, no, it wasn't last night. Like, Kevin Owens was hanging out with koalas on Friday. I know he wasn't there at SmackDown when they showed him. So like that's one aspect of the kayfabe that I still don't understand. Like, there's nothing wrong with you referring to a pre-recorded event. I don't think. Like, we're smart wrestling fans. We know what's up.
I wonder if that's it is an interesting editorial choice, I guess.
Yeah.
Story choice. Because they used to, like, way back in the day, they used to be like, back when they did house shows and stuff, they would just record stuff from the house shows and be like, this match happened earlier this week, let's watch it. Like, as kind of a recap. I would prefer, just for my own not breaking of reality, you're right, something like that would be like, here's a pre-recorded match that happened, and then like segments talking about the upcoming Elimination Chamber and stuff like that. Like, just you can have one throwaway show.
Yeah, it's not like it happens all the time, right? It's only like when they do stuff like this, or the like any international show is gonna kind of throw the wheels of your rocker there. But yeah, that's the only thing. I thought it was interesting. Like, every time they mention it, I was like, oh my god, here we go again. So you can't fool me. I know your tricks, receiver. So, all right, Jeff. Anything else you want before we sign off?
No, I'm excited for this up the next 42 days, or I guess 43 with WrestleMania 44.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited too. If you're watching this at any point and you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments. If you want us to do more of this stuff, let us know. I feel like both of us watch wrestling pretty much every week. So I mean,
I'm not promising. I make sure to watch every week.
I'm not promising a new weekly show, but definitely I love talking about wrestling, and it's something that I've been trying to bring to the channel for a while. We just didn't really have. I didn't have a tag team partner, Jeff, but then you came in from out of nowhere like an RKO. So, all right, well, cool. Thanks everyone. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.